Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and this time we're going to be talking about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and how it's going to be the darkest Zelda yet, or rather, that discussion, because recently this idea has been put into question because the ESRB has rated Tears of the Kingdom as E10 and up, for ages 10 and above, and people see this and they're thinking, oh, okay, so this game is for kids. Well, the game is designed so a large amount of people can play the game. Interestingly, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the game before Tears of the Kingdom, the one that everyone's been talking about for the last half-decade or so, also was rated E10 and up. And the description we're seeing for Tears of the Kingdom is that it will have fantasy violence and mild suggestive themes. Now, in comparison to Breath of the Wild, it's exactly the same in terms of description. The only difference is that Breath of the Wild also says use of alcohol, because there is a Gerudo bar where they talk to Link and it's made reference that he is not of age to drink. So for that reason, they had to put use of alcohol. Now, when we take a look at some of the things we see in Breath of the Wild, though, there are allusions to sexuality and alcoholism and death and all of these different things. Like, there's a lot of dark themes in Breath of the Wild, even with this E10 up rating. So I think some people are missing out on here is that the rating system by the ESRB, yes, it's telling us that there's not going to be, like, crazy sexual scenes or a whole bunch of blood and gore with decapitations everywhere, or things that suggest more mature themes. It's just the way it's done. Basically, if it's something that has subtext or an implication, that's okay. It's when it's blatant that it increases the ESRB rating, so I wouldn't really be too concerned about this. Just for the record, the game that is considered by most to be the darkest Zelda game in the series is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and you want to know what that was rated? E for everyone. The game that's about the end of the world, that was coming out in the year 2000, around the Y2K situation. A game that has death prevalent throughout the entire story, where you sing a song of healing to help these souls move on, and then still their souls are trapped in these masks that possess you and show scenes that I would argue look quite disturbing, and basically there's an entire theme of 5 stages of grief throughout Majora's Mask. That's a theory, but it's a widely believed one, and if you play the game, it's pretty evident. Point is, Majora's Mask is a very dark game, yet it was still rated E for everyone. When it comes to games like this, they want it to appeal to a large audience, but there's going to be a lot of concepts and ideas that are more so implied rather than stated literally or shown objectively, because they want to appeal to a large audience. Think of it like this, like a Disney movie, for example. These movies are very popular. Parents bring their kids to watch these movies. They are PG, usually. But oftentimes these movies have more mature concepts and ideas and jokes that are there, but they're more so implied rather than objectively stated. So they're there for the older audience to keep them engaged and interested, but the movies still appeal to children at the same time. And that's how Nintendo designs their Zelda games, because they want it to reach a large audience. And if you've played Majora's Mask, and if you've played Twilight Princess, and if you've played Breath of the Wild, all those games had a lot of dark themes and motifs and suggestions of death and revenge and sexual relationships and alcohol. All these things were in these games at different moments in time. So I don't really think there's anything to be worried about with this rating. That said, what is there about Tears of the Kingdom that suggests it could be the darkest Zelda game yet? And a lot of people have been assuming it will be based off the initial trailer, which I would agree. It's a very dark trailer. They are in these dark catacombs or caves, and they find this mummified creature that we all believe to be very likely Ganondorf, who is coming back to life. It looks quite dark and gruesome. Zelda falls down a hole, Link's arm is burned by some energy, the castle is rising up. There's definitely an unsettling theme that is here. There's even theories that there are voices chanting or singing in reverse, "Help us, help us." There's a darkness there. But there was actually an interview with IGN where Eiji Aonuma had some things to say on this trailer. The new Breath of the Wild, or the sequel to it, it's not necessarily going to be related to Majora's Mask or inspired by it. What we showed you currently is a little darker. So people over the last few years have taken this to mean that for sure Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the darkest Zelda game yet, but technically he's just saying that what they showed us is a little darker, which I would argue is subjective, but at the very least with the initial trailer there are some dark things being suggested, and what we've seen since does sort of support that, I would say. So with the next big trailer, we still saw a shot of Ganondorf rising up, we still saw evidence of Link's destroyed arm, we saw another shot of Zelda falling down a hole, so the concepts introduced in the first trailer still holding in the second trailer. And when they show the castle at the end with that orange backdrop, that has a little bit of a darker theme than what we saw with the first trailer when we saw the castle rising up. So definitely I would say as of the release of that trailer back at E3 2021, this dark setting theming is still there and holding. But with the most recent trailer, I think there's a little bit more debate because as people have seen more and more shots of the gameplay, which is still very limited I might add, there hasn't been a lot of things showcasing a lot of dark gameplay. This more spooky, somber setting doesn't seem to be apparent in the world we're exploring. Yet, is what I would say, because again, we've only seen so little. However, when we examine all of the elements in the most recent trailer, which came out back in the September Nintendo Direct of 2022, they did confirm a few things. They gave us the release date, they gave us the title, and they showcased a few more pieces of the lore. So when we look at that initial part of the trailer, it shows like this wall with this character that I'm referring to as the Bunny Zonai, but we don't know who quite it is. But they are interacting with this other character that looks like a princess. There are some interesting depictions there. I think they're depicting an ancient culture, obviously, but it's theorized by many, myself included, that this is in some way, shape, or form related to the lost tribe of the Zonai that have been shown in different Zelda books and the statues throughout Breath of the Wild. But the main point to take away from here that I think strongly suggests that this darkness that we've been hoping for is still there is with the title itself, Tears of the Kingdom. So now think about what we were talking about. We have this shots of this wall with this strange character interacting with this other character we think might be Zelda. Seems to be some sort of depiction of maybe Zonai history. But then let's talk about the initial trailer where there was those theories that we were hearing a chanting or moaning of voices in reverse that were saying, "Help us, help us." So there was a lost people, lost souls. And what is the title of the game? Tears of the Kingdom. Perhaps this lost tribe of the Zonai. That, to me, seems pretty dark. There is a lost people that have suffered under Ganondorf, this dark force that has been stewing and brewing for thousands of years or what have you under Hyrule, the source of all the calamities. I think there's something here. With the first trailer, we do see those cave depictions of what appears to be Ganondorf on a horse with the trident and his own force going to battle. Perhaps this is showing a history of Ganondorf trying to subjugate a people, a lost tribe, perhaps the Zonai, perhaps the Tears of the Kingdom. Let's not forget the fact that technically, Hyrule is already a post-apocalyptic Hyrule where almost everyone died over 100 years ago. So there's definitely dark themes and ideas still that are going to be prevalent in Tears of the Kingdom. Will it be the darkest Zelda game yet? I don't even think with the first trailer and what was said by Aonuma, it confirmed that information, but I will say, everything we've seen since supports that they are still heading in that direction from what they depicted with the first trailer. So I do think there is definitely a hope that there's going to be some dark ideas in Tears of the Kingdom, which I think are going to be cool. I think it's going to offer a fair bit of variety, but I'm very curious on what we're going to see with the gameplay. We've seen some pretty bright, shiny areas. I want to see some other more somber, spooky areas as well. I like to see variety. I like to see contrast. And I think this game's going to have it. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.